Here we have the Battle of Medway. This is part of the Roman invasion of Britain in AD 43, and we'll be using the Hail Caesar rules from Warlord Games. The ancient Britain forces, commanded by Togodumnus and Caractacus, are facing the Roman forces under Plautius, and the Britons behind the river, quite confident in their position as there's no obvious crossing points, so they're quite content to sit and hurl abuse and insults at the Romans, who appear to be stuck on the other side of the river. The Romans move up some small forces and demonstrate on the opposite riverbank, but unbeknown to the ancient Britons, these are just masking what the Romans are doing in the background. They're manoeuvring some troops unseen by the Britons, and their plans will become obvious the next day. And here we see the Britons' chieftain, quite happy with his position, staring at the Romans across the river. And as the next day breaks, it appears that the Romans have been quite busy during the night. They found a fording point on their left flank and used some local transportation to cross the river in strength with some allies that they have. And on their right flank, another group of legions has managed to get around the flank of the ancient Britain position. And worst of all, they've managed to construct a bridge over the river Medway, and they are now advancing over the bridge in strength to get into combat with the ancient Britons, who now find that their position doesn't look quite so impregnable, as the Romans are now on their side of the river. On the Roman right flank, they quickly get into action, and their cavalry and auxilia charge and engage the cavalry of the enemy, and they successfully break one or two of the units, and their left flank with their local allies starts pushing ahead, and in the centre the Roman legions march quickly over the bridge and start to take up positions in front of the centre of the ancient Britain's position. On their right flank, the ancient Britons have to readjust their front and have to turn to face the Romans attacking on that flank, and send in a couple of their cavalry units and chariots to counter the Roman attack, whilst even more Romans keep coming over the bridge in the centre and start taking up formations. Fighting on the Roman right, going mainly their way, as a couple more of the ancient Britain's units are disrupted and destroyed, but they do have some success and manage to push back some of the Roman units. On the Roman left flank, the allies that they have are pushed forward, and they start to influence the ancient Britain forces there, causing some of the tribes to actually defect and join the Roman forces that are now beginning to move around the flank. The Romans in the centre are now got across and taken up position, and one of their cavalry units decides that it's going to charge into the enemy position and successfully breaks a couple of units. And on the left, hand-to-hand fighting now ensues as the Roman allies get into close quarter combat. On the Roman right flank, they continue to press forward, hoping to break the ancient Britain positions, but they're being held up quite vigorously. And the ancient Britons in the centre now decided now is the time to attack the Roman centre, so they advance en masse in the hope of pushing the Romans back to the bridge and back across the river Medway. They advance in some strength, and here we can see a skirmishing screen. Unfortunately for the ancient Britons, the Roman cavalry does manage to charge and break a couple of units, and on the Roman left flank we can see here that the Roman allies continue to attack. On the Roman right flank they continue to press, but the going gets tougher as the ancient Britons on their left flank are now beginning to hold the Roman flanking attack. And in the centre the ancient Britons are now getting into close quarter combat with the Romans, and they begin to push forward. And here we can see the ancient Britain centre position moving forward. And here's the Roman left flank. As we can see, they're making quite good progress. Here we now see that the ancient Britons in the centre are making quite a massive attack on the Roman position. If they can push them back into the river, there's quite a strong possibility that they can still win the battle. But the Roman cavalry charges again into the ancient Britain centre, and they manage to push the ancient Britons back. Fighting on the Roman right flank has stabilised, with both sides engaging in hand-to-hand combat. The main threat now to the Romans is the main push in the centre from the ancient Britons, with the Roman cavalry holding up the enemy advance. And here we can see the overall situation, with the Roman right flank held, and on the Roman left flank we now see that the ancient Britons are getting themselves organised and managing to counter-attack a little bit, and they also manage to reorganise on their left flank as well and start pressing the Roman positions. And here we see the situation in the Roman centre. So overall the situation for the Romans is not looking too great at the moment. But on the left flank the ancient Britons are slowly being worn down. So the attack in the centre is now going to really decide the outcome of the battle. And the Roman legions in the centre decide to attack, and unfortunately for the Britons they do manage to break several of the units there and begin to break through, and in the ensuing battle the ancient Britain leaders are killed, which forces the ancient Britain forces to fall back in the centre and allowing the Roman cavalry and infantry to break through and nearly break through to the initial starting positions of the ancient Britons. The Roman left flank continues to break down the enemy and will successfully sweep round on that flank, but by now the ancient Britain's central position has pretty much collapsed, and on the Roman right flank they've got the enemy held there pretty much. So the outcome of the battle is really a Roman victory, as they've pretty much broken through on the centre and open up the road further into Britain.